Your conference is being recorded.
Okay, we're ready to go, Eileen?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So first, this is Kathy Hout. I think you all know me. I'm the immediate past president. And I'd like to just acknowledge Kate Brennan, who is NAPNAP Executive Director, and Laura Searcy, who is the current president. And definitely I wouldn't leave Eileen Arnold out, who is behind setting up all of these wonderful experiences for us. So I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to be with us. And as Eileen said, we will have this recorded information available for members if they want to listen, as well as they have the opportunity to see your faces on the NAPNAP website and to hear a little bit about your interest in being a candidate for NAPNAP. So what I'm going to do is just call on you to tell us a little bit about yourself, what your position is that you're running for, and take about 2 minutes for your introduction. And I'm going to start with Anne. So Anne DiBattista is one of the candidates for president-elect.
Hello, this is Anne, and I am running for president-elect. I am thrilled with the opportunity, and the reason why I'm interested in doing this is after the opportunity presented is because I really wholeheartedly believe in the 2016 to 2019 strategic plan and look forward to the opportunity to lead efforts in that in all of those areas that we are interested in growing and supporting professional development of advanced practice nurses. I am a nurse practitioner at Stanford Children's. I work in developmental behavioral pediatrics. I have an administrative role and a research role as well as an education aspect to my role. What else would you like to know about me? I have a, do you want me to go on or has it been 2 minutes?
If you have anything else, you can certainly, we're looking at about 2 minutes and you haven't even gotten a minute yet. So if you want to go on a few more minutes, that's fine.
All right. My research was in a longitudinal outcome of children born prematurely, and I wrote a grant with Legal Aid to follow this population of preemies and to look at service delivery and to partner with community agencies on early intervention service delivery and barriers to service delivery. And that project has grown to a medical legal collaborative at our hospital, as well as a partnership now with the community for all children with special needs. We have several aspects of primary care integration for behavioral health, several projects that have grown out of this grant. The other thing we have is a rapid developmental evaluation program where we have a developmental pediatrician and a nurse practitioner going to primary care practices to develop or to evaluate children to facilitate quicker access to service and support to the medical home for building the infrastructure of skills in primary care to support these special needs populations that have access issues to care. I think
that sounds great.
Okay.
You are doing a lot, Anne, and we're really excited that you're going to run for president-elect. We are going to have some time for questions at the end, and even if we don't have participants asking those questions, we have had some submitted questions that we will offer to all of the candidates. So as we go through, I didn't mention that in the beginning, there will be a time even for each of you to ask each other questions. So thanks so much, Anne, and we'll go into Dawn, and Dawn is our other president-elect candidate.
So good evening, everybody. My name is Dawn Garcon, and I am a pediatric nurse practitioner, primary care. I've been a PNP for over 20 years, worked in primary care, urgent, and convenient care during that time. And for the last 20 years, I've also been in academia. I'm currently a clinical professor and the associate director of the Washington State University of Vancouver School of Nursing. So, this opportunity came up, and as I've noted in the materials that I've provided, NAPNAP is really, truly my home. It's my professional home, and I have an immense amount of respect and passion for the work that we do as an organization. So when this opportunity came up, I've been involved in a number of different areas of the organization. I started out early on in the late 90s. I was involved with my local St. Louis area chapter in Missouri. I recently moved out here this past August. And I've, served as a treasurer and president-elect and president of my local chapter. Actually, at a conference, met a colleague at a presentation, and we discussed the need for an injury education and prevention SIG. And so Bonnie and Lovett and I kind of came together as co-chairs and started that SIG. And because of that experience, I actually volunteered to sit on the Continuing Education Committee. Spent a number of years on the Continuing Education Committee, eventually becoming co-chair, and then was inordinately blessed to be able to serve our organization by being on the executive board as the education chair for a couple of years. Through those various organizational, experiences, I've really gotten to know NAPNAP as it's grown, and as we've reached the maturity that we have of the current board composition and the mission and goals that we've set in our current strategic plan. So very, very excited for this opportunity, and frankly humbled to be here with Anne, who I have an immense amount of respect for.
Great. Thanks, Dawn. Now we'll hear from the members at large candidates, which, Kristen, do you want to start?
Sure. I just want to thank everybody to start for taking time to listen to this town hall, and appreciate the opportunity to be a member at large candidate. I have been a PNP for almost 10 years, and during that time, I've worked in the PICU at Children's Health in Dallas. I'm also working on finishing my PhD, which will be done this summer, and I've had the opportunity to look at the roles of PNPs in the PICU and how they also work on healthcare teams. So I'm excited about the research and work that's coming out of that. Since I've been a PNP, NAPNAP has been the place where I've come for my education and my role development, and I want it to be an organization that other pediatric APRNs look to as well. I've had lots of opportunities within NAPNAP, for which I feel very fortunate. I've worked with my local chapter, which is the Greater Texas chapter, and have been the chapter president and legislative chair. And we continue to work diligently on our state scope of practice, and have been a part of watching that process over the last 8 years. I've also been involved nationally. I had the opportunity to work on things that I think are important to all pediatric-focused APRNs, and was the professional issues chair, where I led a really great committee as we worked on issues around APRN recognition, quality outcomes for our patients, and the workforce. From that, I've also been able to work on a specialized workforce work group, and we're currently finalizing a white paper on the state of the PNP workforce that we hope will promote our role and help with some of the policy discussions around clinical and non-clinical roles for pediatric-focused APRNs. I also am interested and have been involved in policy as a past NEWE recipient, and I'm also on the Health Policy Committee right now, where I'm working on this year's Child Health Policy Learning Collaborative Initiative. While I was the professional issues chair, like Dawn, it was a board position at that time. And so it was a very exciting time to be on the board. But I was also a busy committee chair. And while serving on the board, we really had an opportunity to think about what the board should be like, and was part of the decision to transition from chairs on the board to members at large. I think the decision has led to the board being less task-oriented and more future-oriented. And I think that serving as a member at large is a different opportunity than I had before when I was also on the board, but as a committee chair. So I think that I can really use my strengths to be strategic and innovative as a member at large and work on advancing the activities of NAPNAP to align with the mission and vision. So I think it's an exciting opportunity and appreciate everybody's consideration of my candidacy.
Thanks, Kristen. Judy, can you go next?
Okay, I'm happy to. Hi, this is Judy O'Haver, and I'm running for member at large, and I'd like to thank the National Office for helping us get this together, as well as for my colleagues for attending this session of our first town hall, which is the first time I've ever done this as well. Like many of you, I started in NAPNAP as a student almost 20 years ago, which is hard for me to believe, and I've been involved on many different levels of this organization, both in my local chapter and in the national arena. I've been president and president-elect, past president, and initially we had a vice president role. I've done that as well at my local chapter. And I'm currently, once again, on the nominations committee. I've also been involved in membership at the local level. On the national level, I've only been involved in committees, and so I was on the conference committee for two appointments, and I'm currently on the research committee, and I've been happy to serve in that area because it is one of my interests. My current practice is in pediatric dermatology, and I work at Phoenix Children's Hospital, where I started that clinic and have been a part of that clinic ever since. And as a result of that work, I have had the honor of being appointed by NAPNAP National as being one of their pediatric dermatology experts, and have been asked to speak with an educational grant that was awarded by one of the pharma companies. So that's been a real honor to do that. I currently am the research director for our clinic, so I get involved in many research projects, primarily that include cutaneous issues for children. However, because I work with lots of different students, sometimes it crosses over into other areas. And my research interest is really in chronic illness in children and how it affects their families. I also have an interest in global health, and I've attended 2 medical missions in foreign countries with students, and I'm scheduled to go to Africa this June on an additional one. I'm a clinical professor at the University of Arizona College of Medicine and at Creighton University College of Medicine, and I am a faculty associate at Arizona State University, where I teach in the DNP program. The reason I would like to be considered for the member at large position is for the last 2 decades I've been involved on so many different levels of this organization, and I think I have a great understanding of how to work to promote members' interests and to uphold the strategic plan and vision of the organization, as well as to influence policy in the children and the families we take care of. Am I up to my 2 minutes?
I think you're good.
Okay, thank you.
It's really amazing, the talent that is here. It just amazes me over and over again. And Tina, tell us about you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tina Rickenbach, and I'm running for member of large for the NAPNAP board. For the past 3.5 years, I have been on the national board. As clinical practice chair, I was liaison to all the SIGs, and as member at large, I am liaison to half of the SIGs and 9 chapters. In both roles, I supported the National Strategic Plan, which guides the organization, advocating for quality care for children and supporting the role of pediatric-focused advanced nurses. As an RN since 1972 and a PNP since 1982, I've had a variety of clinical experiences ranging from inpatient settings, med-surg, ER, general pediatrics, PD research, newborn nursery, and NICU, to outpatient as a PNP in a busy general practice. as courtesy faculty at the Yale School of Nursing have precepted students. And as a Navy nurse, I was commanding officer of a reserve unit detachment and head nurse on a medical ward in a fleet hospital during Operation Desert Storm. I've been a member of NAPNAP since 1982, having served on the state level as membership chair, recording secretary, CEU chair, and president 2 terms. On the national level, prior to being elected to the board, I was founding coordinator and chair of the Children in Disaster SIGs. I have had many years of varied clinical experiences, which gives me insight into the various demands on providers working in both inpatient and outpatient setting. I've been a leader in many areas, and I hope that you will vote for me for member at large to allow me to continue my work on the board advocating for children. Thanks
so much, Tina. Did Hannah Pressler join? Nope. So we have 2 nominations committee candidates, and Hannah Pressler is one of them. Danielle Sevens is the other. And we'll hear from one or both of them tomorrow evening as we've split the group into 2 so that we had plenty of time to give you guys a chance to talk about yourselves, which I know is very hard to do. But it's really obvious that we really do have great candidates. So we have some other questions, and what we'll do, I'll ask the question, and then you can go around, maybe in the same order that you told us about yourself and your roles. And the first question is, what is one area where NAPNAP can improve? And if you were elected, what could you do in your role to help the organization make that improvement?
Hi, this is Ann DiBattista. I'm assuming I'm up next up.
You can be. That's great.
Sticking to the original order. So in terms of the area of improvement that I think we could make in NAPNAP is, and I think this has been an evolutionary process regarding the role for advanced practice nurses. We started out with largely primary care, and now we have acute care, and there's many different roles. But I think the area where we could focus some energy is supporting advanced practice nurses' entry into pediatric specialty practices. And I know we have wonderful content at our conferences, but it would be great to figure out a way to organize accessible educational content or a core curriculum to support orientation and education of new nurse practitioners, along with mentorship capabilities. And we are already starting to do this with the Society for Development and Behavior of Pediatrics and Laura Nelson, the education manager at NAPNAP, looking at DB, Development and Behavior Pediatric specialty content and ways to facilitate the hiring of nurse practitioners into developmental behavioral pediatrics, or enhancing the skills of the primary care nurses to serve this population of underserved children. So I think really focusing on this area to support our members and developing their skills in professional practice is an area where we could grow.
That's great. Dawn, do you want to answer?
So, I think one of the things that NAPNAP struggles with is something that a lot of organizations struggle with, and it's how do we grow our own, and how do we get motivated future leaders started so that we, as Anne even said, so we can mentor them into leadership roles. And I think the organization has started it 2 conferences ago. We started a professional development track at the conference. And I think that really helps for those who are able to attend. And oftentimes, local groups can, because it's less threatening, because it's a smaller group. I'm sure I'm the only one here with this experience, but it's kind of terrifying putting yourself out to a certain extent on a large stage. And so I think that we can continue to grow what we're doing, but really work with our chapters and our SIGs in many of the initiatives that we've already done, and then maybe consider some alternative ways to help grow the mentor program that's a very large part of the strategic plan.
That's great. Thanks, Dawn. Kristen?
I'd like to work on is some of the efforts quality measuring quality outcomes. We know that there are a lot of ways that nurse practitioners contribute to quality care. There's a lot of movement to measure and reimburse based on quality, and we have expertise. And so I think that discussion around how we're going to measure that for pediatric care. And so I'd like to work on developing NAPNAP members and mentoring them into roles related to quality and measure development, and partnering with other organizations that we work with currently, the National Quality Forum, and trying to come up with ways that we can make quality accessible to members who are already busy in their clinical practice, and how can we make it something that's easy for them to do and less threatening when it becomes time to really measure what we're doing in our clinical practice.
Great. Judy?
Yes, well, similar to what Ann had said, one of the things that it's been my experience in talking to other nurse practitioners as to why they pick the organizations they do and why they attend conferences they do, it has to do with level of experience. And I think in NAPNAP, because of the way our role is changing nationally, there really seems to be a little less for seasoned nurse practitioners in NAPNAP as far as some of the content that we offer, especially with disease-specific clinics. So dermatology is actually my second specialty clinic. Prior to this, I started an HIV clinic in the state of Arizona for kids. And oftentimes in these very specific specialties, the only place we can really get the clinical information that we need at our level is in organizations very specific to the diseases that we treat. And I think that maybe identifying some of the needs of these seasoned nurse practitioners in specialty areas and then helping them, if they're new in this role, to transition to that expert clinical practice in a very specific area is something that maybe we could focus on as an organization that we haven't really done too much with yet, although we started to.
Thanks, Judy. Tina, how about you?
Okay. Well, one area in which I think NAPNAP could improve is increasing volunteerism. Currently, we do have Teen Peds, and they do have a number of members, but we can certainly use more. And as a member at large through work with the SIGs and chapters, I would encourage the SIG and chapter leadership to remind members about Teen Peds, that if a person volunteers, it's not a set time commitment, but they would be contacted if a need arose, such as working on a committee, writing an article for a publication, or participating in a work group. I think if members realize that they didn't have to make a 2 or 3 year commitment, we may be able to get more younger volunteers in who maybe are starting their families, they're trying to get their practice on the road, and if they know that there's something that's short term, that may appeal to them. Hopefully awareness that members can volunteer for short-term projects could be an impetus for members to increase their volunteerism. And I think having the Teen Peds volunteer is great, but I think we need to encourage members to actually volunteer on it, because I think we have over 8,000 members, and I think that would be, if we could get even half of them on that, that would be, or a quarter, it would be a huge number. And that would also be helpful for national when they go to look for someone that they need expertise in a certain area. Thank you.
Thanks, Tina. We need all of you on the board because you all have great ideas. The next question that I'll ask is, what is a benefit that you would like to offer to NAPNAP chapters that maybe isn't already there, or you could even highlight one that is currently there and maybe not utilized? And we'll go back to Ann.
So one of the areas that I think would be great at a local level is to have the members be able to access a database of clinical experts at the local level to support building relationships that could lead to clinical mentorship and advocacy efforts. Advocacy efforts to address not only the access and the healthcare needs of the children and families you serve, but advocacy to support APNs in professional practice as partners and leaders in pediatric healthcare, and advocacy to bring to light the need for standards of institutional level support for APRNs to participate in professional conferences and in order to be able to meet their educational and practice demands of the field. I think this sort of member access database at the local level would increase engagement and, like Tina said, possibly volunteerism at the local level through relationship building.
Wonderful idea. Dawn?
I think, I recently moved to a state that has independent practice. I came from a state that was anything but an independent practice state. And as I have, talked to colleagues in different parts of the country, one of the things that folks really struggle with, and I know as an organization NAPNAP struggles with, is there's so much variability from state to state. And a lot of what's really going on at the chapter level is fighting institutional credentialing changes, dealing with state legislation, what's the best way to respond. I would love to see us do a needs assessment with our NAPNAP chapters to find out what they really need. We do provide a number of resources to our chapters, but what's the missing piece, especially as it does relate to making institutional changes and dealing with either local or state level legislative issues.
Great. Kristen?
I think one of the things that we could do a better job of is helping chapters not need to reinvent the wheel. And I think particularly about policy issues as that comes up. So I know that states will often work on developing, a one-page information sheet for their legislators, and it stays in that state. And I think a lot of the issues that we talked about go across the states. And so having maybe a repository where people could go and use and kind of update to their state needs some of these one-page sheets, I think would be really helpful. But then one of the things that I think is underutilized that we have right now is some of the general child health issue advocacy information that NAPNAP can help states with. So recently, this is in Texas, there's been immunization battles. And I know that NAPNAP has resources on immunizations. And so how we can use that to start conversations with our legislators and make that available to all of our members to reach out in a more realistic and less threatening way for members when they think about talking to their legislators, I think is a really important thing that NAPNAP can offer chapters to give to their members.
Great. Judy?
Yes, kind of along the same lines. It seems like we kind of are thinking of the same things. But one of the things that I'm very sensitive to is time and time constraints of our members. And I think it may be of benefit to offer regional meetings either virtually or in person, pretty much along the same lines as what everyone else has said, because it would prevent duplication of efforts. It would provide a combination of resources, and it would help with networking and collaboration to provide more opportunities to members for what they want to accomplish either locally or globally. I've seen this done in other organizations, and I think it's been very helpful to meet people from your same part of the country, because a lot of times neighboring states are concerned about some of the same issues. So that would be one of my suggestions that I've not seen done in our organization.
So, Tina?
Okay. Well, one benefit that I would like to see offered to NAPNAP chapters is the ability to record and archive their meetings. While minutes may be posted on their websites, I think it would be a benefit to be able to have audio and video also available. Not everyone is able to go to their chapter meetings, and not everybody posts their pictures on the website. So being able to connect a name to a face can increase the connectedness to the whole group. Many people are not able to attend the different CEU meetings, and being able to have the information available could increase awareness of the chapter activities, increase information sharing, and foster networking. So this is along the same lines of what Judy and others have said. Thank you.
Great. We'll do one more question, and then we'll kind of open it up for anyone who's joined us if they want to ask questions, or if you want to ask each other questions. So what do you think is one of NAPNAP's greatest strengths? And I guess we'll start at the beginning again with Anne.
I think one of NAPNAP's greatest strengths is the talent and dedication of the staff and the members, along with the size of the organization and the history. There's, since the 1970s, we've really evolved as an organization and an infrastructure, which many of you have a long history with. I think that the strategic plan is clear, and the focus on reorganizing and building the leadership of members is really important, like Dawn was saying earlier. But I think there is, I'm going to throw another part of the question in terms of engaging. I think after reading the book Race for Relevance about professional organizations recently, I think that it would be really important to focus every effort on the strategies that increase the relevance of the organization for its members. And I know everybody's kind of saying similar things, but understanding the relevance based on the demographics of our organization, the boomers versus the millennials, the state practice guideline variations, and needs for advocacy at the national level and individual state level. So I think we have great infrastructure to support accomplishing these goals, and I'm excited about the strategic plan.
Thank you.
So
Dawn,
for me,
right ahead.
Oh, sorry. I
No,
jumped in,
I'm sorry.
So I apologize for that.
Pause there.
I'm so excited. I jumped at the bit. For me, I think NAPNAP's greatest strength is it is the one organization that represents my role as a pediatric-focused advanced practice nurse all the time. It represents, for education, for advocacy, it's about advocating for the role of those who take care of children. It's advocating for children and families. And there are a lot of other organizations that are out there, and I belong to a number of them, and I treasure those memberships, but they are often focused at a meta level that is beyond that, and often doesn't align with what I'm doing as a pediatric specialist in my day-to-day practice. I find the conference to be the place where I can go and get pertinent continuing education credits. I don't have these sections in my day where I'm trying to find content that's relative to me and to my practice. And it is that representation and the education and the fact that it's a one-stop home for those of us who work in this arena that I think is why NAPNAP is my favorite organization to belong to.
Great. Kristen.
I think NAPNAP's greatest strength is the members. If you look at the membership, you have people who have been pioneers in child health, whether that's being the first nurse practitioner, or whether it's starting a practice in a new specialty that nurse practitioners and pediatric providers have not been working in before. I think that those people have a huge amount of professionalism, and I think that PNPs go to work with the desire to improve the health of the kids that we take care of. And I think that's powerful. If collectively you think about all of the members of NAPNAP working hard every day, it has a huge impact on our country. And I think that through our work, there's healthy kids and a healthy future for America. And so I think we need to be optimistic in what we're doing and the impact that we're having on the future of the country through child health.
Great. Judy?
Well, I think it's almost to say ditto. I also agree that the greatest strength that we have in NAPNAP is our membership. And I think it's that collective reasoning that we have of all the different experts in all the different areas that work together so effectively that help promote the best possible outcomes, both clinically and in policy. So I think it's more of what we've all been saying, but I think we're pretty much in agreement.
Great. And Tina, how about you?
Okay, well, I think actually one of NAPNAP's greatest strengths is its legislative advocacy. There are the legislative alerts that come out, the monthly advocacy calls. We have a lobbyist in D.C. that helps in keeping us abreast of legislation that is of interest to us, either as we advocate for children and families or for our own professional roles. Legislators look to numbers, and when we say we have over 8,000 members, while it's not a huge number, we do have a voice. And I think sending out the alerts that encourage us to contact our legislators, including the contact information for our legislators, is awesome. And we are all very busy, but knowing that NAPNAP is on top of the legislative issues that are important to our patients and to our professions is a fabulous benefit of NAPNAP membership. The Advocacy Scholars Program also is another fabulous venue for increasing our presence on the Hill and encouraging our members to increase our advocacy efforts. So I know when I first joined NAPNAP, that was one of the biggest things that I looked to NAPNAP to provide for me, because as a new PNP with young children, I really didn't have time to keep up. And just knowing that somebody is right on there keeping up what's going on is very important. For example, just today, or maybe it was the other day, on the national website, it talked about, Michelle Stickle put up an infogram on there about not reacting to news that may be inaccurate. So I think that's great, and I really look to NAPNAP for that, and I think it's one of our best strengths. Thank you.
Great. So at this point, it's about 8:45, and I would like to invite anyone else on the call to ask questions of the candidates. I just wanted to make two comments. One is that we are very professional in how we go about doing the nominations, and we really do have high caliber candidates every year. It's pretty amazing to me. And we know that we're not going to be negative against each other, but in the light of the current political situation, we want to respect each other, and when questions are asked, anyone else on the call, please don't focus negatively on any of the candidates. The other comment that I wanted to make, too, is that we would like to have this opportunity, we thought it would be a good idea, especially for those folks who can't come to the meeting. But please go back to your chapters and encourage them to listen to you on this call when it's available on the website. And I think it will be, right, Eileen?
Yes, that's where we're recording it, so it'll become available and shared probably by as early as next week. So I'll we'll download the recorded copy and make it available to all members.
Yeah. So we'd like to pick up the number of people that actually vote, and that's always been a little on the low side. So go back to your chapters, to your neighboring states, and let them know that you're running, and let them know about where to go to find information about candidates so that they can feel that they're part of this whole process. And again, it might allow for others who might not want to volunteer themselves, but could certainly support you. So does anyone have questions at this point for any of the candidates or for all of them? I guess not. Kate or Laura, is there anything that you would like to interject?
This is Laura. First of all, I just want to say thank you to all of the candidates. It takes a lot to put yourself up for any elected position and to do the preparation work necessary to articulate your passions and your beliefs. And we are all very, very lucky and privileged to have you as NAPNAP members and leaders. And no matter what the election results, you guys are all tremendously valued. And we appreciate so much your willingness to run for office.
Absolutely. Kate, anything that you'd like to say? And if not, let's go back, and there's one more question that I can put out there, and that is an opportunity to kind of wrap this all up. If you would each go around and in one sentence kind of summarize why you think you should be elected. And we'll go back to Anne.
Oh, my goodness, the pressure's on.
You've been first. I should have jumped around. If you need to.
I created my sentence before I heard everybody else on the call, and I'm certainly impressed constantly by my colleagues in NAPNAP and the experience and the caliber of professionalism, education, and all the good that everybody is doing. I think that if I was elected, I'm capable of leading the organization to achieve the objectives of the strategic plan, and I would put 100% effort into doing that. And that's it.
Great. Thank you so much. John?
So I'd like to reiterate what Anne had to say, and I think it is difficult. There's a wealth of talent and experience that is here that I am confident that regardless of what happens in this election, our organization is going to be in great hands. Why me? That's a good question. I'm a seasoned leader. I am passionate about the organization. I've been involved at multiple levels, and so I feel like I have a real working understanding of NAPNAP, as well as, professional experience as a, pediatric primary care mental health specialist and a primary care PNP and as a nurse educator that really has afforded me the opportunity to be able to kind of take that 30,000-foot view that I think is critical, especially for the president-elect position. And so, I hope to be able to continue to serve the organization, and I just really appreciate everyone taking time to listen to what we've all had to say today.
Thanks, Dawn. Kristen?
I think this is an amazing group of candidates, and this has been really fun tonight to be able to hear what people's thoughts are and what they're passionate about. But I think that I bring experience to the role of member at large as a bedside clinician who sees patients every day and knows what a busy clinician practice is like. I also have a strong background in professional issues and health policy, and I think I can use those experiences to reach out to members and to stakeholders to build engagement in the work that the organization is hoping to achieve and really work on advancing the mission and vision of NAPNAP.
Great. Judy?
Yes, this is Judy O'Haver, and as a member of NAPNAP and a pediatric nurse practitioner for the last 2 decades, I've been involved on many different levels in the organization, and I feel that this experience has provided an understanding of how to work to promote members' interests and the strategic vision of the organization and to influence policy to serve children and families that we care for. And that's why I hope you'll consider voting for me.
Awesome. Tina?
Well, I feel I should be elected to the NAPNAP board as member at large due to extensive clinical experience as an RN in various clinical settings, as well as a PNP in general pediatric practice for over 30 years, due to demonstrated leadership on the local and national NAPNAP levels, as well as in other groups, and due to a willingness to foster health care for infants to young adults, as well as the role of the pediatric-focused APRNs through leadership, advocacy, and service, and by fostering the strategic plan.
Thanks so much. Oh, did you want to say something else? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's it. I just said thank you.
Okay. I want to reiterate what Laura said, and I have to say that this is going to be really, really hard for me to vote because, again, listening to all of you, it is just really amazing what you've done and what you could all bring to the NAPNAP board. So I just wanted to finish up by thanking Ann and Dawn and Kristen, Judy, and Tina. And just to say that tomorrow evening we'll hear from the rest of the candidates, and you are all welcome to join that call. Again, let your chapters and chapter members know that you're running for office. And make sure that you look for the emails from Election America, which will give you information about voting starting on March 1st. We will still have some events at the NAPNAP conference that will be a meet and greet on Friday, March 17th at the NAPNAP Pavilion in the exhibit hall, and that's going to be from 8:45 to 9:45. So you all will be there, and hopefully there will be some other opportunities to chat with members at that point in time. And I will end the call. Everything that we've done tonight, as well as what you've already done in preparation, is available on the napnap.org candidates website. So thanks to everyone again, and I think we can say good night.
Okay, thanks, Kathy.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Bye-bye.